Welcome to episode 2 of Stories from the Hill, Barton County. Today we have Paige Mink, a student at Barton Community College.
Hello.
The views and opinions expressed in the podcast are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Barton County Community College. Hi, Paige, and welcome. Thank you for doing the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
Well, why don't we just get started, and if you want to introduce yourself or talk about your background prior to coming to the college.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Paige. I'm from Dodge City, Kansas, so not too far from here, close enough to home to make a weekend trip. And I am here for a park management and conservation degree because I find myself very interested in the natural world and basically how it functions, but also how to preserve it despite the surplus of people living amongst it. So conservation.
Okay. Do I understand? Were you a triplet?
Yes.
So what, not, most of us are not triplets. So what is that like? Or what was that like
Yeah.
growing up or now, even now?
Oh, good question. So I am a triplet. There's two more of me running around Kansas somewhere. And uh and some people say that having siblings is like a built-in friend, and that's kind of what it was like, but we're also still siblings. So we fight and we argue, and me and one of my sisters had like a rough patch where we would just hate each other for like 3 years. We got over that. We might be moving in together next year. So, anyways, no, I really like being a triplet. I have an identical. One of us is identical, or two of us are identical, and then there's a third one. And me and Morgan, the identical ones, we think really alike. So sometimes we're having a conversation, we like skip sentences because we already get it. So, and then of course with Michaela, we're still like siblings, so then we're still really similar. And I just like having people to talk to that think the same way as me like that.
Okay, that's a pretty crazy. I mean, most of us don't have that sort of
Yeah.
experience in life. How did you end up coming to Barton?
Okay.
What was some of that process
Yeah.
like?
So Dodge City does have a college, Dodge City Community College, but they don't have a swim team and they don't have any sort of conservation degrees, which were my two big interests at the time. The closest degree I would have gotten if I stayed in Dodge, even though it would have been cheaper without having to pay for dorms, was some kind of agriculture degree. So I decided to come to Barton, which is pretty close, and I joined their swim team, and I'm on the park management and conservation pathway. Yeah, and I love being on campus, staying on campus versus staying at my mom's house when I did a semester at Dodge City Community College too. So definitely worth it.
Okay, well, how did like the swim coach come in contact with you, or how did that all process work?
So I was reaching out to the swim coach at the beginning of the summer before I came to Barton. Um, and I didn't find out until mid-July that the swim coach had quit and there was a new one in place. So I actually didn't meet our swim coach until like almost nearly August. Uh, so I think it's called walk on, but I didn't have a scholarship. I joined by my own volition, and I swam the full year, had a great year, new personal bests. Nationals was amazing. And this year I'm on scholarship and just as amazing. I like the team a lot better this year too. Don't tell anyone. But yeah, that's how I came
Okay,
into
so
contact with
this
swim.
current coach didn't recruit you,
Nope.
okay, so you still came when the other one left. Was that been like Jonathan? Would he have been
I
there?
think his name was Matthew.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we had somebody else after them.
Yeah.
And I've forgotten about those guys.
Yep. Well, there's been a lot of swim
Husband
coaches
and wife team.
recently.
I think they were husband and wife team.
Uh-huh.
So, what are your plans for after Barton?
So after I graduate, which will be this May, I will be going to K-State in the coming fall to continue towards a conservation and biology degree. There's also a small chance I'm going to Sterling College to swim and get an environmental biology degree there. Right now, we're acting as if going to K-State though, because of how unsure that is. Would be cool though to keep swimming, because as you may or may not know, K-State does not have a swim team. They do have a rowing team, which is cool, but that's not swimming. So yeah,
And then what, career wise,
good question.
what would be the best, or what would be your ideal job?
So dream scenario,
Dream scenario.
me and a bunch of people who are into the same stuff I am, outdoors wise. So they're passionate about it, they're excited, they're hyped up. We all get on horseback, go to the mountains, ride 5 days into the middle of nowhere, and literally trailblaze with what we rode in on. We live out there for 2 weeks, then we go back. That's my dream job. Um, I'm okay with no service.
So they would pay you to guide, I mean,
We'd be
how is the job?
trailblazing. I
Where
did.
would the income come from?
Yeah. So
Exactly.
I actually did a summer job for a little bit. I didn't finish the summer because of personal reasons, but I did have it for a little bit where I went up to Utah, and it's called the Utah Conservation Corps. And they put us into crews where we drove out and uh we did different things. We like maintained the trails. We sometimes we killed off invasive species like Russian sagebrush on the riverbeds. And we would literally trailblaze though. That was a big part of it. We'd tear out new trail through the forests and mountains in northern Utah.
Okay, you just weren't going
so,
out
but-
camping for
yeah.
2 weeks.
No.
No, okay.
We'd be going out there, waking up with the sun, eating as a group, of course, around our campfire, probably in my dream. And then we get to work. If we get hot, that's okay. We're probably next to a lake or river. We'll just jump in, cool off, get back to work.
Okay, so like, I mean, working for the Park Service?
Yeah,
or
probably
something like that. Okay. Okay, nice.
Realistically, I'll probably be working in education of some kind or research. Hopefully, I know that feels kind of hard to enter into.
Sure.
Like field work. I like the science side. I also like the hands-on side of conservation. So
Okay, best of luck on that journey.
yeah.
You mentioned you're, member of the swim team when you went to nationals. Can you talk a little bit more about like that process or what you did when you went to nationals? Because none of us really know.
Yeah.
We just know that you guys leave for, an extended period of
Yeah.
time and then come back. So what kind of, what all goes on?
So for the swim team going to nationals, we all get on the bus 6 a.m. and we went to New York, Buffalo, New York this year. So we drove for 2 days, all day long, and then the meet itself was 4 days long, and then we drove back afterwards. Once we got there, once we got to our hotel, once we got to Buffalo, we the day of competition would look like in the mornings we have prelims and in the afternoons we have finals. And it's set up a little strangely for my events, which is distance swimming. With most events though, you'll swim in the morning, and if you're in the top 16, then you'll swim in the afternoon as well. But if you're swimming the mile, they're not going to have you swim the mile twice, so it's a little weird like that. But yeah, and then Friday night, no, it might have been Saturday night. Well, the fourth night of the competition, they do awards and finals. They give the teams trophies. They would have been distributing individual events medals throughout the meet, but they award different coaches who were nominated for things, or like best improved VIPs, stuff like that. And then this year, since we were so close to Niagara Falls, the morning of our first day of travel coming home, we went to Niagara Falls for maybe half an hour.
Nice.
It was very cold, and the gift store was closed because we were there so early, but it was beautiful. I can see why they call it one of the seven wonders of America. So, or is it seven, right? Not nine. You get the idea. Highly recommend.
Yeah, and so like how many teams or athletes are there when you're competing? And
So there must have been just under a dozen. I'm not sure. Girls ended up getting third, and then I think men's got either fifth or sixth.
Okay.
So I think it was sixth, but we did well overall, for how we were ranked before nationals. So a lot of personal bests, a lot of medals and individual. I brought home some medals from relays,
Okay,
so it's pretty good. And some of my family came up there to watch me.
nice.
They flew, they didn't drive. They also went to Niagara Falls. They went to the Canadian half, and they brought back so much maple syrup items. It's kind of funny. And the candy, my mom was so excited that they called Smarties rockets. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was cute.
okay, okay. Any other stories or about your experience at Barton that you would want to share?
Stories. Well,
Or something you'll remember?
yeah.
Maybe not related to the swim team.
Sure.
So-
So my favorite, something cool about college is that when you're on campus, it's really easy to have get-togethers with your friends who are also on campus because you might be like a floor away or a building away. And so if you have a good friend group, then you can go out and do things. Something my friends and I have liked to do, if weather permits, is we go to the park. And typically this is later in the day, like usually it's dark out, so there's no kids that we're disturbing, but we go to the park and we play a mixture of the floor is lava and tag. We call it rocks.
Okay,
Um,
Vets Park or
huh?
Vets Park here in town?
Yeah, we've
or-
been to Vets Park, and then we've also been to the one next to the zoo, Brit Spa, I think. That's a
Okay.
favorite because
Okay.
it's
So
so
close.
big. Yeah, it's super fun. But hanging out with friends, it's so easy. Late night walks. I see lots of people playing frisbee. I know there's like the
Frisbee golf
baskets.
thing?
Yeah.
At night?
Oh, no, not at night.
just-
I'm just talking about in
just
general now.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
At night. Well, you could try. I'm in the Barton Tabletop Gaming Club,
Okay,
and we've done different events, one of which included in-person Among Us, except it was across campus outside. So the different tasks we'd morph into these, maybe it's throwing some paper airplanes or going and finding a certain stick, or maybe throwing a frisbee into a net on campus. So it has been done. Board game club is also something I really like about something that's really fun on campus
okay.
here.
And that's Sam.
Yes, so he's our
Barton,
sponsor,
he's
Sam.
the Sponsor for
Yeah.
that.
There's different subgroups. We're mostly known for our Dungeons and Dragons campaign, but that is just one of the many subgroups. I know we have like I think there's a chess group. There's a war game strategy thing. I think they're trying to get together some Warhammer 40K activities. So we're also playing normal board games. Like, if you want to play Monopoly, this is where you want to be. If you
Yeah.
want to play some Munchkins or some other niche board game then you come here and then you're in a group of people who will probably say, yeah, I'll come to the library and play the game with you.
Okay.
So
You want to give any shout outs to any Barton employees while
yes,
we're
I
here?
do. So I actually wrote them down. I have quite a
Okay,
few.
okay, we have time?
Yeah, sure. So, first and foremost, Kate Fiala, she's one of the librarians here. It's super easy to get into good conversation with her, and you can talk for hours pretty easily. She's also super helpful for projects or work if you need help with that. But if I've gotten into some good talks about sci-fi and like conspiracy theories with her, so she's pretty cool. Also shout out to Board Game Club sponsor and tutoring lab coordinator, Sam Kleinmartin. Yeah, he can talk about anything from nuclear radiation to a walking palm tree to our latest D&D campaign. And then he's super fun to talk to and helpful, of course. And then Paige Morgan and Chris Scott, always great conversationalists. Nolan and Kelly in the ABC, they're goofballs. They're also pretty helpful. And they also run the PTK on campus. So pretty much anybody in the library, actually. The staff here are super. Yeah. Those are my shout outs.
Okay, any last words of your experiences at Barton that you want to share before we go?
Not quite. The campus is beautiful. Come visit, even if you don't plan on coming. Okay, that's all.
Okay, thanks, Paige.
Yeah.
I'll make sure we give those employees get their shout out and the recognition that they deserve.
Okay, got it.
Best of luck at K-State, if that's where you choose to go.
Yeah, thank you.